In this chapter, I'm going to talk about sketch options and settings. So in order for us to get into the sketch, to work with a sketch, we need to create that sketch. And the first step is to select my sketch in task environment icon. Once I select the icon, my Create Sketch menu pops up. You'll notice at the top, I have various types of sketches, on plane or on path. Now, they both basically do something similar. They create a sketch that is going to reside on a plane. You still have to specify the same inputs with where the sketch is, how it's oriented, and its origin. The difference is that when you create one that's on a path, it recognizes the path. So if you're doing some future functions, sweeping that shape along a guide string, it'll help recognize that path specifically for that sketch. So in this case, we're going to use simply on plane. The first thing that the system asks for is, what plane is the sketch going to reside on? Think of that plane as your sheet of paper. So you're going to tell the system where you're going to draw. What's that sheet of paper? Here, I'm just simply going to select my XY plane. You'll notice that as I come over, hover over the XY plane on the screen, the system tells me, hey, you're picking something. Is this what you want? So once I pick with my first mouse button, it sets up my initial plane. The next requirement for my sketch is my sketch orientation, which is a vector. This is going to determine, in this case, what horizontal looks like on that plane. So it's like your piece of paper. Are you looking at it landscape mode? Are you looking at it in portfolio mode? Are you looking at it in portrait mode? So this is how you're orienting that sketch. You may have a tooling direction that you need to orient to, or you may have a specific orientation based off of the part that it has to point in order to align the sketch correctly to the part. Now, in this case, I'm just going to simply specify the x-axis of my coordinate system. You'll notice as soon as I specify my x-axis, I get my x, y, z coordinate system. Remember I spoke about the work coordinate system in a previous video? Well, when I define my sketch, I'm defining where that work coordinate system is going. So once I pick my horizontal axis, my x of my sketch follows along. My vertical is perpendicular on that plane, and z is basically the direction of view. You're looking down the z at that sketch plane. The last option is a sketch origin. Basically, what is 0, 0, 0 of that sketch? If I look, I can specify a different origin, or I can use my work part origin. In this case, my work part origin is set to absolute 0, 0, 0 of the world for the CAD system, and I'm just having the system automatically use that. If I have a point out in space that I want to use, I can use that point out in space by specifying a point. And this is very useful if you're designing something large, like an airplane or a car, and you're using a datum point at the aft end or the rear end of the vehicle that you're designing on. So you want to basically move your sketch to the location that you're working in. So this is where this is very handy. But for us, everything is just going to the default origin. Once I specify the origin, I have all of the requirements for my sketch. All I need to do is simply select OK. As soon as I hit OK, I am now entered in to my sketch application. I know I'm in my sketch application because if I, again, look at the top, it tells me what application I'm in. I'm inside Sketch. If I look at the tools that are available to me and in my ribbon, I can see I have my curve tools for Sketch. I have my constraints. It tells you right over here, Sketch, inside of the Sketcher, as well as you'll notice the ribbon changes. I have a lot less tabs up there. I don't have as much up there. It's not necessary because I'm in the Sketch. Once I'm in, by default, the first thing the system does is it takes you to the profile tool and it asks you to draw something. And this isn't necessary to use this tool to draw something. If you want to, you can come in and use one of the other tools. In this case, I'm just going to, again, draw a rectangle just for a quick reference. So you can go to Rectangle, draw the shape that you want, and that is my sketch. That's how I come in and position my sketch, tell it where it's going to be, and how it's oriented. If I made a mistake on that orientation, I can always go back and correct it by using a reattach. If I do select the reattach button, you'll notice it takes me right back to the original menu. So if I have to move the sketch, change it to a different location, whatever that may be, I hit the reattach icon, and now I'm able to move it, place it where I need that sketch to move to.